thank you both so much for making the time to speak with me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the story of your gallery. I was there for the Red Show, and posted pictures on Instagram, on Mainline Tonight's Instagram. And people were like, oh my God, you went to that art show? And I said, yeah, and you can too. It's open to the public. But it seems to be one of the hottest galleries in our area. And I know that you have a different way of approaching the whole thing. I can't wait to hear the story. So tell me how this came to be. Tell me the premise of the gallery and what you did to open it.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. I mean, you go first, Josh.
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna,
Rob. Go
yeah.
ahead. No, go
I was
ahead,
just,
man.
thanks so much for having us. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you. Yeah.
Covering it and showing. We're super grateful for everybody who's been kind of like supporting and showing love. But yeah. I mean, you want me to start, Josh? You want to
Yeah,
talk a
go
little?
for it, man.
Yeah. I mean, so it was last summer. Josh and I had kind of been circling each other on social media, but had never actually met. We A mutual friend of ours, a family member of Josh's, and kept telling us we had to meet each other. And then I had an idea of starting something like similar to this for a long time, but just nothing was aligning in that way. And this building I knew of came up, just kind of came up for lease. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can do it by myself. And so I just kind of reached out to Josh one day and just, I was just like, hey man, you want to meet and talk about this? And so we like it was like came about very quickly, like within a month of meeting each other. Probably we signed the lease, and it's just been amazing, But like the
So
concept,
let's
really,
see what the premise is. So you sort of deconstructed the traditional art gallery format.
For
Deconstructed and
sure.
maybe disrupted.
Yeah,
Um,
for
so you
sure.
have shows there. It works by submission, right? So you have different themes all the time, and then
No,
you have like an
sometimes like we'll do a theme and then sometimes we'll just do like an open call for just a general group show because we want to sometimes we do want to hone in on a theme and we sit and organically kind of come up with um ideas between myself and Rob, and sometimes we just want to kind of have just a kind of free flow of artwork, but I think the themes are what, like our themes that we've come up with, I think is the big draw. So I think people kind of intend to, like, think that we're going to do a theme every time, but we generally do like to come up with themes, like I said, organically. But yeah, there are times where we just have an open call for general artwork.
and
well,
that's one of the things that's different that anybody, right? It's open to anybody. You're not just working with the same five artists all the
Yeah,
time.
I mean, me and Rob had said, and Rob had said, like, our superpower is inclusivity versus exclusivity, you know, and I think that puts it pretty perfect. Is, our demographic is all ages, all demographics really, but we have a lot of people that are generally, maybe somewhat timid to come to the gallery circle in the local scene, but when they cross the threshold in our gallery, it's like we're willing to hear what you're about, what your artwork is, and we're giving people themes to kind of come out of their comfort zones and
yeah. What I was gonna say,
explore.
um, the thing like that we kind of been saying from the beginning, which I like about the themes, is that it encourages people to make new work. And so it's
Yeah,
like, when we like to do the group shows just with anything goes once in a while, just to kind of give people a break. But like, I feel like the themes, like the red one is a good one, like a good example where it's like most people don't have several red pieces laying around. And because we're coming up with the themes kind of organically, we don't have a list. So the call goes out and people have like 3 to 4 weeks to make pieces. And so what I think is cool is that like the Red Show in particular, many people said it was challenging to do something, but it's like we all as a community are working on we're trying to solve the same problem in the same time frame. And so like when the show happens, it's like celebrating, like, look what we all accomplished, And so
mm-hmm.
I think the cool thing about the themes is that I mean, that one in particular, I think there was like 75 pieces in there. I'm like, that's 75 pieces of art that were made in Chester County in a matter of 3 weeks that wouldn't have happened unless the community came together to do it. So I think
Yep.
it's gonna just lift, the rising tide lifts all boats. It's gonna raise everybody up by like we've had some people say it feels like I'm back in art school. You got a deadline and a curriculum to what to do. And so I think it's cool, and other people seem to enjoy it as well.
Well,
Well,
Melissa,
I'm a writer, as you know, and I always say I would just keep writing. There's two things that stop me. I run out of money or I run out of time.
Yeah.
So the creative process, like you need to start, sometimes you need an inspiration, like a theme or an assignment in my world.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, this is the deadline for it. But just going back to the Red Show for 1 second, I think another really cool thing was to see how many different kinds of mediums. I mean, it was a mixed media show. There were so many, not just painting, not just floral, there were so many different kinds of work in that space that it's just mind blowing. So tell me tell me what the submission process is. So it's online and walk me through it.
Basically we put up we'll create a flyer, and we'll create some copy for the flyer, and it'll be, kind of an open call, and we just say, hey guys, like, please submit your work to our email. We basically check it out, and in that sense, it's kind of traditional. We just get a lot of people coming in and wanting to submit, and we tend to kind of comb over the emails, and we have, like, each show, Rob, I think you can attest to this, we've had new faces on every show. So
yeah, every show is like, there's like a third of the artists or so are new people.
we have the originals, and then we've had people like we've had people from day one, like, that we've opened the doors, that have pretty much been in every show. So
Wow. Now, do you have to live in Chester County, or is it open to anybody?
No, not at all. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Process really is like that. I mean, like we said, it's very organic. Like, we don't necessarily have like a big grand scheme. Josh and I talk through things, and we just kind of come up with, like, the process while we're going, because we've only opened in July. So like, this is the spring show is coming up. This is our 10th month and our 10th show. And so, like, we're kind of learning, and it's like the community is informing us kind of what to do next. Cause like, when we first opened it, we were thinking it was going to be like our spot where we would just display our work. And, we kind of started doing that at first. And then it was like, how many times can we ask people to just come back and look at our stuff? And so we tried a group show, and it's like, all of a sudden that became the thing, and it kind of outgrew us, so it's like the community is heavily involved. We listen to what people are saying, and like helping us figure out like what's our next move, so the process for the shows just kind of goes that way. It's like, people submit, for the most part, it's just kind of first come, first serve. So we have a number in mind of what amount of artists we can take, and then we just put the call out, and it's like, it's overwhelming. Like, each show the call has filled quicker and quicker, and this one we got, it filled out in like 2 hours. And so
Wow.
we're blessed, we're grateful for everybody.
No, it's true, and it's really great to hear some of the same verbatim things. Is, this is what this town has needed. I think, Rob, you can agree with that. Like, there's been like this, like, again, just verbatim, like, phrases that random people have said. So it's like, we're kind of looking at each other, like Rob said earlier, it's like, wow, we kind of, like, this is outgrowing us. This is getting bigger than just us. And it's like, we're the facilitators, but I think we've always wanted to be the facilitators, or the vessel for the community, especially the demographic that we have, which is all ages. Like, I don't even know if we can say that we can nail down a demographic, but
No way, like,
well, let me say and then Rob, I want to hear what you have to say about this. But I've been covering art for a long time in this area, and of course we have a lovely tradition of the Brandywine School of Art.
Sure.
There's Wyeth all over the place. There's traditional, oil painting and landscapes. There's a lot of paintings of horses and barns. And there's always going to be a place for that. But what I like, and what I've been covering through Mainline Tonight, is emerging artists of all ages and all mediums, people who have a different point of view. And I have found, especially since the pandemic, that people are looking for different ways to reach artists through digital media, social media, because the traditional gallery system, which again, a big fan of traditional galleries, but it can be a bit, like you said, exclusive and prohibitive for artists to get shows in galleries and then they don't get to sell their artwork. So
Right.
I think what you've created is a space where artists can come, but also art lovers can come. And that's such a cool vibe. But also, some of the prices of things are very affordable of
Hmm.
what you're offering. So, talk to me, Rob, about how the pricing works. And I think that, and like, how are you making money off of this, or how does that work?
That's the $1 million question. Yeah, Josh and I actually just both bought vacation homes. Um, uh, I mean, like I appreciate the traditional stuff too, but that is not what I'm inspired by as an artist. And like from being a kid, like I was never drawn to that kind of art. If I'm honest, like I appreciate it. My parents had stuff like that in the house growing up, but like what inspired me to make art as a kid was trying to emulate like comic books, graffiti, like just counterculture things. And so it's like as you kind of mature into that, you're like, well, there's not really a space for this, and it's like, and the chances are, and like in business, it's like if you have an itch, other people have it too, and if you scratch that itch, people are gonna feel it, and that's kind of was our idea. It was like there has to be other people like us in this area, but there's no hub for us to find each other, and it seems like overwhelmingly like people just keep making those connections from being there, and it's like it was just it was ripe for it, but as far as the pricing goes, I mean, we don't have any say in how artists are pricing their work unless they ask us, which we do get a fair amount of people asking, but like I think it's personal for each person, like it's your own journey, but
Well,
most
we've
of the,
had people that sell for thousands of dollars, like, and
yeah.
we've had,
Oh,
a $50 painting all the way up to what, Rob? I think it was like $2,800. So
And it's like that's what's cool about it is like not only is there many different styles and mediums that like almost anybody could find something they like, but also there's a huge spectrum of prices. So it's like you could find something, that's affordable or something that's in your range, and as far as like profit goes, like as of right now, like to be completely honest, we're not profitable, like we're making ends meet by doing these shows, but like we've been very um like conscious from the beginning about like we didn't want anybody to feel like we were trying to take advantage of them because we're artists, like a lot of galleries, you can't knock their business model if they're not an artist, then they're opening the place to make the money off the art, but as
well,
artists are.
let's just say for people who don't know, the traditional gallery model is that the gallery takes a big cut of whatever
Yeah,
gets sold. So
yeah.
you're not doing that. You're not getting a cut.
No, we just have the entrance. It's a submission per each piece. So like, if you submit 4 pieces, at the current price is at $25 a piece. So it's for $100 or for $25 if you want to put a piece in. If you sell like the piece that sold for almost $3,000, is like that's your money, and it's like it feels like clean money, as opposed to like sometimes it feels like you're being taken advantage of when you get because like supplies and all that kind of stuff. It's like what really is left at the end of that if you pay to submit and then you pay a commission. It's like it kind of it hurts a little bit, and so we want it to feel like this is by artists for artists, and so we're figuring out some other ways to kind of generate income, and some other different events. I know that was one thing you were curious about, is like what else we're doing, and it's like we're starting to find like other artists that can teach specific disciplines, or like we had a sound bath event, so like just again seeing what the community wants, and then taking the feedback, and so a lot of the sound bath was kind of experimental, but we got a lot of people keep asking like when's the next one, so it's like we're open to all suggestions. And another thing that we're starting to explore also is renting the gallery. So like the idea of like choosing yourself, like most galleries, like you can't get your foot in the door, and it's like rather than waiting for them to choose you, it's like choose yourself. You can rent our space. We have rates for a day or a weekend or a week or even a month if you want. And so it's like you can put on your own show there. Maybe you and a couple of friends want to rent the space and put your own show together. It's like that's what it's for. It's a container for the community, basically.
yeah, we had a guy come in from, he was moving all over the country, and he had about 11 years worth of work from his moving all over the country. And he came in and just, I think at first he was a little apprehensive because of the normal gallery model. And he took a chance on us, and we took a chance on him. And, you know, he had a whole successful show, and he sold work, and now we would consider him a good friend, you know, and that's the kind of collective that we're trying, yeah, we're trying to cultivate.
Yeah. So it is kind of a small space. I'm so
Yeah.
Tom, when you go to hang a show, how do you think about it?
Oh, we just get all the work in there, and then we just organically just start going, oh, that looks good there, that looks good there, and we really just, we don't hesitate, we don't kind of bicker over like what, you know, what, oh, this piece needs to go there because of that size. Whatever serves the space, I think that we can agree on is what we do. Like, it's just the way that we would maybe approach a creative project or even a painting is the way that we approach our curation.
Yeah,
That's cool.
there's no like we try not like there's real I would say honestly there doesn't really any ego involved when we're
No,
hanging.
really, there really isn't, because we
We,
want to
But
just
you're
serve our
artists. What do you
space.
mean there's no ego involved? That
Well,
can't be.
I mean, but seriously, like whatever serves the space, I think that that's what we've said from the beginning. Like, it's just, you know, some pieces, okay, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. I mean, honestly, it's just very much an organic process. To say there's no ego, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying, like 100%.
I
But
just mean in that I just mean like we don't like try to like, hey, I don't think that should go there, dude. You know, like we put some music on, we make some coffee, and we just kind of like
yeah,
bounce off each other, like,
yeah,
hey, what about this here? You know, and then like one of us will be like, well, what about this? You know, oh, this color kind of looks cool here, and it's like
right.
it's fun, you know. And then like we've gotten great feedback from people saying like, man, you guys do a great job. I'm like, that's because we have fun. That's why
Yeah,
it looks.
exactly. Exactly. And we have fun creating our paintings. So it's like it is really a pure process of creation, you know, creativity. And if there's plenty of times where we're like, oh, that looks good, and then at the end of the day, everything's up, and we'll go, no, you know, let's take this one and maybe put it over there, and it's like, yeah, cool. Like me and Rob just have a good flow with curating. And
Yeah.
we have a good set of a lot of artists that, you know, we're lucky to have a lot of talented artists come in, and
Yeah, it's like it.
that helps. So
Yeah, it's like
and a lot of people that are breaking out of kind of the traditional mold of Melissa, what you were saying. I mean, we do have the rolling hills of Chester County. We've had the horses and the landscapes. We've had that, you know, and it's not like we're
Mhm.
like we're really turning some of that away, because, you know, if it looks good and it works, you
and
know.
most importantly is like I think what makes the place special is the vibe in there. And so it's like that's the most important thing is like the person, you know, like when we meet people, it's like, as you know, your work is your work and however you're inspired, but it's like, are you a good person? And it's like that's what we hear over and over. It's like I think a lot of traditional galleries kind of have like a sterile environment where you go in and you almost feel like you're not supposed to be in there. And so it's like we want the shows to feel welcoming. And so it's like the artists are all people that we would hang out with anyway, you know. And so I think that's what contributes to just the vibration in there is like everybody feels like they're friends, you know. And it's like new
It
people
definitely
are
felt like a party when I was in there. And I walked in and I knew people. Brian Hearns was there, Rachel was
Yeah.
there. Like I was
Oh
like, oh my
yeah.
God, all these people are here. But I think another thing that is different is the schedule that you have. So it seems like maybe you have a pop-up kind of philosophy about it. And it's not like a 30-day or 60-day or 90-day exhibit, right? You have different
Yeah,
schedules.
the most we've had is 2 weeks, because we kind of treat it, Rob and I, like the way we treat the amount of work that we do. Like we do a lot of work individually together, and we want to have that model for our gallery. We just want to keep going, and we want to keep having shows, and we want to have something kind of we do something every month, and we're getting
it,
faster with it too.
yeah, and keeping it fresh. Like I don't want somebody to be like I came last month and the stuff's still here, you know. Like I want it to be like every time you come in you're like, wow, this is so neat, you know, because it's like it's churning it, you know. It's like just keeping everybody like I said, encouraging everybody to keep making work. And it's like, that's just, that's how we're all going to grow, is like inspiring each other, So like the turnover rate is like, it's quite a pace, but I think it's really cool. I like
But
to see.
and it also pushes people to keep creating. Like you said, I mean, the Red Show was a perfect example of that, because we had strict guidelines with that. Like we sent out a mission statement for that show, and then there was some confusion, and within 24 hours we had resent kind of an email with a refined mission statement that was very much like strict. And I can't, Rob can attest. I think that you can attest, Melissa. Like, everybody kind of met that goal and
Yeah,
those guidelines. And what you saw was the reward of people coming out of their comfort zones and coming out of, like, being confined. And just, there was people that literally said, I spent 2 hours a day for 3 weeks on this piece, and
yeah,
that's the kind of work ethic that we have with our artwork.
Yeah, I think it's great. And as I was driving home from the Red Show, and when I just knew a little bit about how you are making all of this happen, I really related to it because I was in newspapers and magazines for a long time with really long lead times. Magazine is 3 months in advance.
Mm,
And now that Mainline Tonight is digital and a
yeah, you
website
got
and
it.
social
Yep.
media, I can do things tomorrow,
Yep.
yeah,
or 2 days or 3 days, and it has pushed me creatively
Sure.
to do all kinds of
Because you got
things.
to get it done. And let's be honest, the attention spans of today with social media, I mean, they're so short. So it's like I think that we're applying some of that maybe subconsciously into just producing work and producing shows every month, and trying to have, even doubling up on a month. We might have a sketch night. Like, we recently had a sketch session where, it was a Thursday night, kind of like 5 to 7. People come in, they bring their black books, they bring, watercolor pads, whatever, and we all just hang out and we talk. And things can kind of spring from that as well. Just having like a meeting, well, not so much a meeting, but a gathering rather,
Yeah.
of creativity, and you meet new people there. I mean, we've had lawyers come in, that sit down with their pads, and you would never know, but you get talking, and next thing it's
I've been
happening.
taking art lessons since I was 15, and I still can't draw. I love it though. I've taken classes all
I'm sure
over the
you
place.
can. I'm sure you can.
I'm
I was
so
gonna say,
bad. I took a class with the mainline school night, and the teacher recognized my name and was like, came over and said very nicely but firmly, "It's a good thing you're a writer. Why don't you stick with that?"
Oh, no, no.
almost
Yeah, I know, but I love it. I love the whole, it works a different part of my brain than writing.
Yeah,
But I
sure.
think the community that you're talking about, so I saw that you host these drawing jams and all
Yeah,
these other things, and
I
it
like
does
that,
seem
drawing jams.
yeah.
Might have to steal that.
yeah. Well, maybe we should have like a poetry jam or something, or
I
we
mean,
could have a
I know that me and Rob are way up for whatever, man. Whatever is creative, whatever is like expression. And, again, we love our community, but I mean, we're taking people, we can have anybody from, whatever, Jenkintown,
Well,
you can come
yeah.
down from wherever.
yeah, and
But
I think I
I'm
would be
sorry, go
open.
ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say, like, if you did have something like that, like at one of the group shows where there's no theme, like, I mean, I would be okay with you putting in a poem in a frame, like printing it on nice paper. It's like
Yeah.
putting that on, like, that's your expression, like, we've talked about all kinds of like different ideas, but like you could have like some kind of performance night or an open mic night or whatever. It's like, I just want it to be like a container for people to express themselves, and it's like, it doesn't mean you have,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Well,
It's like,
we have a backyard. I don't know if you like explored out back, but like we were
I do
like
know.
I've been like kind of anchored on this whole theme of having a sculpture garden, and like maybe having a little barbecue. Like,
yeah,
Wow, that sounds like
like
fun.
yeah, exactly. Like that's the kind of thing that, like, we're just kind of just having fun with it, like almost like childlike, we just come up with
Yeah.
things and we run with it. We don't second guess it. We don't beat it to death. We don't, because we've all had jobs where it goes from A to Z, and the plan ends up back at A. you know? And it's like we spend
Yeah.
all this time like picking at it and dissecting it. And it's like, no, if something feels right between us, we run it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
how they come about, is like we have like a shared notes of like some ideas, but like usually
Yeah.
it'll be sitting there on like a weekend, and it's usually like I'll be like, hey Josh, what do you think about this? You know what I mean? Then we start talking about it, and then it like kind of spitballs, and then Josh will be like, start right there. He'll start coming up with like a flyer, and I'll look at the flyer and I'll be like, what do you think about this, dude? You know, and like
Yeah.
in like 2 hours, we're like, all right, we're gonna make the email
We're
now. You know?
doing it. Yeah, and Melissa, I know
Yeah.
that you keep going to the Red Show, so if you don't mind, Rob, I'll give her a little history about it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the Red Show started because we were thinking of general themes, like for February. It was actually February. So we thought about Valentine's Day, and we didn't want to go like, okay, you know, we don't want to just outright say, oh, it's a Valentine's Day show, and then we have or Rob has a friend that's a chef for I believe QVC, and we thought about having a show based on like him coming in and cooking like special dinner, and then having the artwork reflect the food and vice versa. And
Hmm.
then it kind of got to a point where we were like, well, food and, you know, the kind of, you know, that's kind of touchy with like, you know, legality and all that. So we eventually whittled it down to, why don't we just do the Red Show, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it distilled down into a simple thing, from Valentine's Day to a special dinner for your Valentine's, and then we our schedule didn't allow us to come there on Valentine's Day, and then we thought about the food and the legality of it, and then we just said the Red Show. Let's just run the Red Show. So
It's a great name too.
yeah, I mean, it can't be any more simple. And that's the thing. We don't want to get too elusive or cryptic with our names. We just want to be like, hey, this is it. We'll have a mission statement behind it, but the name itself has to be fairly simple, I think.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about your own artwork, but I also want to say first that I think coming out of the pandemic, the sense of community that you've created is amazing, because people are looking for, ways to connect. But also,
Definitely
I
appreciate
think,
that.
yeah, I think when I saw how many, there were people from all different ages as well that would never, like, you're really creating an intersection of ages and genres and geographies and all of these things. And then I think for me, the other thing is that, I'm a writer. I sit in a room by myself usually and write. And artists are in their studios, generally speaking, alone. And that is the part that kind of we don't talk about all the time, that it can be a little isolating. And so for me, when I saw what you created, I thought, what a great way for all kinds of creative people to come together.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about your artwork. So Rob, let's start with you because that is beautiful behind you. Tell me a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
I mean, so I'm in my home studio. We don't work too much at the shop, you know, sometimes on the weekends, but this is like my happy place here. It was a former garage that's been converted, so it's attached to my house, and that's the kitchen door there. And I have 4 kids, and you know, a lovely wife, and we homeschool the kids. So a huge part of my art is like my family and being here. It's like this is
So
where
you're
I'm
not
like,
alone in your studio.
no, never. I'm never. I have a
How do you
nice.
get anything done?
Yeah, the kids will sit here and do schoolwork sometimes, or the dogs or whatever, and it's like, you know, it's a huge part of me making my art is me having that like, you know, that feeling of like, you know, just my people here, you know, and so like, and I try really hard to make my art happy and like vibrant, you know, and so, you know, I know different people kind of come from different places, are inspired or whatever, and it's like some people I think make art to process things, and so it can be darker, which is how they get those things out. But for me, I try to make art based on how I'm trying to feel. You know, I want other people to feel, and so try to keep it very like just silly and goofy, and I draw a lot, and I most of the time I don't have really an idea of what I'm gonna do until I just sit down and start drawing, and then like a lot of times like this is one I just finished that my kids think is like the funniest thing ever. It's this chicken alien riding a chicken, and it's like just came from drawing, and I just kept laughing at it, and it's like after a couple of days I was like, I feel like I have to make that. It's making me laugh, and so that really is about as much thought as I put into it.
Well, let's get specific. So what kind of paint are you using? What are the mediums that you're using?
It's all acrylic paint, and I'd use different, like there's like heavy body and like the basic stuff, but all just regular acrylic paint, and it's like I feel like I'm almost like drawing with the paint. It's not like I'm like very painterly. Like I'm very hyper detailed with it, and like I have an idea. Like once I'm making the painting, it's not like I'm deviating from my idea. Like the ideation of it comes in like the drawing part of it. But once I'm moving to the painting, I become like a control freak. Like I'm like, this is how it has to be, and yeah. But like I said, it just comes through what's making me laugh or what making my kids laugh.
And you're pretty prolific, right? Because I follow your Instagram and it seems like you're always working on something.
Yeah, I mean, I work every day. I would say I put in 8 hours a day, 7 days a week most of the time, but like I never get tired of it. And I've had many, I was in the military, I've worked construction, I worked in a corporate office for 15 years. And I'm like, this is the only thing I've ever done that I don't get tired of it. The alarm goes off in the morning and I keep out here. And so,
Wow, that's amazing.
right path,
Yeah. All right, Josh, tell us about your work.
So my work is pretty much, I went to school for animation, and I was doing a lot of like 2D, 3D animation. And then I got into the graffiti scene in Philadelphia about 95, 96. And I went pretty much all over the world doing a lot of graffiti, doing large murals and legal and illegal. And then I started getting into graphic design based on typography of color and graffiti, because I used to just be very scared of color. And now I'm like facing my fears, and it's been probably 12, 13 years that I've been a professional, I guess you would say, fine artist, painting on canvas, doing graphic design. And like Rob was saying, I put in at least 2-3 hours a day, if not more, painting and doing graphic design, freelance.
Do you have a piece there that you could show us?
I have a pandemic. So to go back to what you were saying, I have a studio up in Phoenixville. So that's where I'm kind of isolated up there. I treat it like a job, where it's like kind of like I leave it early in the morning. I come back, sometimes late at night. I have a piece I did during lockdown that was based on the still life of what I had in the house. It's kind of
Wow.
like I don't have much work at my home, and but
Is
this
that
is
a PBR that I see?
What's that?
Is that a PBR that I see in there?
Yes, it's a PBR. Yes, I wrote a generic beer on there, because everybody had their own, routine during lockdown, and I thought I'd include Lysol and toilet paper, and it was just fun to do that, because I don't do technically a lot of traditional still life stuff. So that was like one of the pieces I had at the house. But most of the stuff I have is down at our gallery, and then at my studio. I have pieces in in the house, but we just had our house painted. So I'm like so hesitant to start putting holes back in the wall. But yeah, so I would say that, I'm a graphic designer. I'm also a painter, and now I'm a gallerist with my friend
Great.
Rob.
So Rob, let's go back to you for a second. How has having the art gallery changed the way that you're working with your art, if it's changed it at all?
Are you asking me or Josh? Sorry.
You.
Yeah, you.
I mean, it really hasn't changed anything for me, just because I'm very regimented, and so I get up like 4:30 in the morning, and I start painting usually by 5, and like I just kind of do that for as long as I can before I have to start whatever the kids need, you know, like later in the afternoon. But so I'm usually, I would say by like 2, 3 o'clock, usually I've almost finished with what I'm doing for the day, you know? And so just
That's
because
so
of my,
interesting. I was just saying to somebody, I just had to change in February. I was getting so busy with the business part of Mainline Tonight that I wasn't writing. And so I had
Yeah.
to carve out time for me to write. And the time that I'm doing it, I now get up at 4:30. I don't set
yeah,
an alarm. I just get up. And by 5 o'clock, I'm writing and I'm done by 9:30 because
yeah,
I've just had that time to do it. And then I have the rest of the day to do all the other stuff. I just find like I used to write late at night, like really late at night, with it not conducive for a relationship at all. But my ex is not very happy about that. But um, you know, I've switched now to a morning person and I feel like I get more done. I wonder if
yeah.
there's something about those early, like right when you
Yeah,
wake up. Like
I think there is. I know Rob can attest to that because that's his regiment. But for me, like when I'm most creative, I have to be kind of locked in almost somewhere. Like I have to force myself to go somewhere. I have to, you know, be kind of like in that room, wherever it may be, just to kind of lock in. And I, it used to be night for me as well, Melissa. Like I used to paint all the time at night, and now I'm like, as I've gotten older, I'm like, the mornings are really like I want to set the tone for the day, you know, and
Well,
that's
yes.
like being creative in the morning can help. I think all of us have a better day and just
well,
kind of feel like we put that work in, you know.
well, here's how I would frame it because I used to paint at night as well. Like when our kids were little, I had a job in a cubicle, and like all day I would wait to come home and paint, and I would have to do dinner with the kids and like put the kids to bed, and then I would try to go downstairs, turn the lights on, and start painting. And it was like I felt drained, you know. And then I read this book that changed my life. It's called The Miracle Morning, and it's basically that. It's like if you're doing something for yourself, like you should do that first because that's where you have all the energy. And so it's like if you're going to bed, let's say you're going to bed at 11 o'clock at night. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock and get up 2 hours earlier, like do the thing that's coming like for your own soul before you go to your job that you may not necessarily want to be at. Like, why would you give them all your good energy? Like put all of your energy to that thing in the morning. And then once you've gotten that, the rest of the day is like anything else that happens at the end of the day, you're like, I know I got mine. And it's like, if you really want to make like real progress, it's like, even if you have to work a full-time job, if you can do an hour more every morning and you do that 7 days a week, like that adds up. You know, compounded interest is the greatest force in the universe. So it's like if you get up early and you get to it, you will be in a better mood, guaranteed. You know, nobody can take it away from you. Like
Yeah, it's almost like by noon, it's like you feel like, wow, I've got a whole like another 11
yeah,
hours to
I feel
do.
like I feel like twice as much time as other people, you know? And it's like, who would dare ask something of me at 5 a.m.? Like, who could pull me away? You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, it's like, it's a hack, you know? But the only thing is, I'll say, is that you have to be disciplined about going to bed. You can't, you
Yeah.
can't, because if you stay up and you try to get up, then your health's going to suffer and then everything suffers from there. So it's like, if you can stay regimented with when you go to bed and get up, you can't lose, you know?
I just heard a new term called your social battery
Mm,
and your social window. So like that you're so like for me, like my social battery, because I'm getting up so early now, like my social, I don't really want to talk to somebody after 8 o'clock. Like I don't want to have a Zoom. I mean, I'll talk to people, but like if you're gonna call me at 8:30, I'm probably
Yeah.
not gonna pick up the phone to start a conversation. So
for sure.
I feel like my social battery starts to wind down
Yeah,
earlier.
I feel like
And
most of me and Rob's social battery is our shows. Other than that, we're pretty much like
Yeah.
on our own with our family, you know?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And like you do need to recharge it, right?
Yeah,
So if you do
exactly.
that with your
Yeah,
family or
for
you go to the
sure.
gym or whatever you do,
Yeah.
like I like that concept of being able to use your battery but recharge it and then know when you're getting a few bars and you need
Yeah.
to like power
Yeah.
down, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's been great talking with you. I'm a fan. I will be back very, very soon.
Thank you, Melissa.
People should come to the gallery. We're going to put all the links to everything in the
Yeah,
notes
so our
here.
next show is going to be on the 27th, and that's going to be of this month, and that's going to be the spring show. And we are going to have I think the most artists that we've had.
I believe that, including Josh and I believe it's like at least 45 artists, and we limited. We took.
That sounds a little bananas. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
I was
normally
gonna. That's why I laughed, because
well,
you know.
but the thing is, normally we allow people to submit 4 pieces, so we have probably half that amount of artists, and so
Yeah.
because we got such an overwhelming amount of submissions, we said 2 pieces only. So it's not necessarily more art; it's just more artists, which I think is it's just more variety, you know. So it's not like we're not like cramming, 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag. We just limited the amount of pieces
Yeah.
and included more people.
And
So
I would say almost half, if not more than that list, is new people, new faces. So
Wow, that's great.
yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see it. That's also the weekend with the Westchester Film Festival.
Oh, it is. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, that's
So
good.
Westchester will be hopping that weekend for
Yeah, that's for
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And if people can't make it to that show, they can come to the next one after that.
Well, this
So
one's running for 2 weeks, so we're actually having it up
Nice.
till and then we'll have it closing on May 11th. So we'll same deal, 4 to 8. 27th is the opening, 4 to 8, and then the closing will be May 11th, 4 to 8. So yeah. So we're already kind of getting all the social media flyers and stuff out there. So yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds great. I will see you guys that weekend, and thank you so much for chatting with me. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
All
much.
right. Have a good rest of the day.
You too.